Happy day, girls. I'm Rachel KJ, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, BCom Corporate Secretaryship. Today we're going to look into the topic dividend. So what is dividend? When a company earns profit or surplus, the company will be able to give a portion of it to its shareholders as dividend. So let's look into what's dividend here. Dividend is a return on investment to its shareholders in a company. To make it more simplified, money to be paid by the company to its members out of the profits of the company in proportion to the amount paid up on shares. What do you mean by proportion to the amount paid up on the shares? Let's take an example. If shareholder A has 1 lakh equity shares at the rate of 10%, then he will get 10,000 as dividend. And if shareholder B has 2 lakh shares at 10% dividend, then he will get 20,000 as dividend. So two things that we need to note here is non-profit organization cannot declare dividend and preference shareholder has preferential rights over equity shareholders. Now, a question arises, can the company declare dividend out of the profit? The answer is no. The company cannot take the entire profit and give it away to its shareholders as dividend. So, after giving away current year's depreciation and loss on the previous year, the amount to be transferred in reserve, they will get one amount. That amount is called as divisible profit. So if you see, divisible profits are a legally available amount to be declared as dividend to its shareholders. Now moving to the next one, what is dividend warrant? So dividend warrant is an order given by the company to its banker to pay the amount specified, okay, to the shareholders whose name is registered with the company. So what happens when your dividend warrant has been lost? So if your warrant has been lost, you can probably give a written request to the company and then the secretary will verify if your name is there in the list that the company has, and he would probably advise the bank to stop the payment, and the shareholders will be asked to sign the indemnity bond, and then the board will approve to give you a duplicate dividend warrant. Now moving to what are the different sources or various sources of dividend. The first one is current year profits. Current year profits after providing depreciation, that amount can be declared as dividend. Then we have past year profits. Past year profits is the previous year's profit. After providing depreciation, you can declare that as well as dividend. And then money provided by the central government or state government purely for the purpose of declaring dividend, even that amount can be used. If the company do not have adequate profit, what can it do? You have to go through 4 conditions. So let's look into the 4 conditions with help of an example. So condition number 1, the rate of dividend declared shall not exceed average dividend rate of the last 3 years. What do you understand by this? Let's take the financial year 2021. So the preceding 3 years is 2019, 2018, 2017. So their respective dividend rate is 9, 15 and 12%. So the average of this will be 12% and the 12% will be the maximum dividend rate that the company can declare dividend. Let's assume that the company's paid up share capital is 140 lakhs. So 12% of 140 lakhs is 16.8 lakhs, which can be declared as dividend. Moving to the second condition, amount drawn from reserve shall not exceed 10% of sum of paid up capital plus reserves. Again, let's take the same example where I said the paid up share capital is 140 lakhs, the free reserve is 70 lakhs and loss is 5 lakhs. So when I say 1/10 of 140 lakhs plus 70 lakhs, give me 21 lakhs. Now moving to the third condition, the amount so drawn in step number 2 should be first utilized to set off current year losses. So from 21 lakhs, if I am going to subtract 5 lakhs, then I will get 16 lakhs which can be used to declare dividend. Moving to the fourth condition, the balance of reserve such drawn shall not fall below 15% of the paid up capital. So here 15% of 140 lakhs, which is our paid up capital, gives you 21 lakhs. So 70 lakhs free reserve minus 21 lakhs minus 5 lakhs loss will give me 44 lakhs. Now looking into all the three conditions, now in condition number 1, I got 16.8 lakhs. In condition number 3, I got 16 lakhs. And in condition number 4, I got 44 lakhs. Now the least of all these three, the amount that is condition number 3, 16 lakhs. So that will be the maximum dividend to be given out of free reserves. That is 16 lakhs. So why are we going through all these conditions? Why don't the company just like that take the amount from free reserve and give it as dividend? You cannot do so because the company just like that cannot take the entire free reserve and utilize it for dividend. So it always have to maintain a minimum balance in the free reserve account. So that's why we need to follow all these 4 conditions. Now, just going through a recap of all the 4 conditions that we had discussed. The first one, the rate of dividend declared shall not exceed average dividend rate of last 3 years. Amount drawn from reserve shall not exceed 10% of sum of paid up capital plus reserves. The amount so withdrawn should be utilized to set off current year losses. The balance of reserve after such drawn shall not fall below 15% of the paid up share capital. Now let's move on to what are the types of dividend. Here I would like you all to understand 2 things. That is, when the board of directors recommend the rate of dividend to the shareholders, it becomes proposed dividend. And when the shareholders declares it in an annual general meeting through an ordinary resolution, then it becomes final dividend. So here you should understand one thing, that the shareholders cannot declare dividend more than the rate which is being recommended by the board of directors. In case the board of directors have recommended 10% as a dividend rate, then the shareholders can only have 10% or less than 10% as the rate of dividend which can be declared in the annual general meeting. So let's look into the difference between interim dividend and final dividend. The main difference here that I would like you all to understand is interim dividend is decided and declared both by the board of directors. In case of final dividend, it's decided and recommended by the board of directors and it is declared by the shareholders in the annual general meeting. In case of interim dividend, it can be declared only if the articles of association permits it to do so. But in case of final dividend, it's not necessary for the authorization in the articles of association. Now, when it can be declared? It can be declared between 2 annual general meetings of the company, whereas final dividend is declared at the annual general meeting of the company. Now, there are a few rules that I want all of you to understand during declaration of dividend. Once the company has declared the dividend, it becomes the debt to the company. It is compulsory that the company gives the dividend to the shareholders. Once the company has declared the dividend, it should be deposited in escrow account, that is a separate scheduled bank account within 5 days, and the dividend should be distributed to the shareholders within 30 days. Whoever is liable will have to bear a fine of 1,000 per day and 2 years of imprisonment. In case of a company, the company will be liable to pay dividend with simple interest of 18%. Now, on expiry of 30 days, it becomes unclaimed dividend and the company will have to transfer this unclaimed dividend to an unclaimed dividend account within 7 days of time. Now, this unclaimed dividend account, once it has been created, the company will have to publish the details of the shareholders, their name, their last known address, all the details will be posted in the company's website or the central government's website within 90 days. And after expiry of 7 years, this unclaimed dividend amount will be transferred to Investors Education and Protection Fund Authority within 30 days of time. So few important points that I want you all to remember is dividend distribution is not compulsory for equity shareholder. Dividend once declared cannot be revoked, but in two conditions, that is outbreak of war or killing tax burden, it can be done so by passing an ordinary resolution in an annual general meeting. All provisions remains to be the same even in case of interim dividend, but the difference here is it is being proposed and declared by the board of directors in the board meeting. Last, companies whose paid up share capital is 100% owned by the government or by any other government company are exempted to deposit dividend amount into escrow account within 5 days. I hope all of you had understood this topic called dividend. We discussed what is the meaning, what are the provisions, and what are the rules that we need to follow while declaring dividend. Thank you.